Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Pixelmon, your instructional Pixelmon guide with Xylophoney. Anyway, today we are going to be going over a Pokemon that is usually underrated because it's not amazing, but it can do some decent work. The Pokemon is, of course, Octillery, and oh, I threw him off the boat. I'm sorry, Octillery. I'm sorry, but here he is. And you look at him, and most people think he's just a stupid-looking octopus, and well, he's not proving us any differently right there, is he? But the thing is with Octillery, he can actually learn some really strong moves and put out some decent damage. So that's where you're going to want to use Octillery, to use those good moves and kind of trick your opponent. Your opponent will not know what to expect when you have an Octillery out there, because there's a lot of different moves you can teach him, and a lot of good moves he learns on his own. Some of those moves are Ice Beam, Signal Beam, Hyper Beam, and Hydro Pump. Obviously all very good moves, and there's plenty of other moves that he can learn on his own that you could easily substitute for any of these. Now, the thing about Octillery is he falls under the category of Pokemon that have decent stats, but not necessarily great stats. So he's an okay Pokemon, but he doesn't excel at anything. His special attack and physical attack are both his strongest stats, and they're at about the same. Most of Octillery's moves are special attacks, so you're probably going to want to train it for special attack and health, because its speed is non-existent. So you're not going to outspeed much at all with him, which makes sense because he's just a little octopus, even though this one likes to run off the edges quite a bit. But yeah, you can definitely have a Pokemon out there that can take a hit and return an even stronger hit when it comes to Octillery. But what you might want to do is build him for a physical attacker, because he does have some physical attacks. He has Gunk Shot and Bullet Seed he learns on his own. Bullet Seed will help you counter any other water Pokemon you send yourself out against. And you can also TM him Waterfall and Giga Impact to give him some other good physical moves. Now, this might not be the best moveset Octillery can learn, but if you throw out a physical Octillery, anyone who thinks they know Octillery is going to be confused even more. So it can be very good. Of course, if you're going to be training it in physical attack, then you're going to want to train its stats in physical attack and health, obviously aiming for a physical attack nature. That would be preferable in that situation. But when it comes to Octillery, you can also do a lot of TMs on him, and I have some of the examples right here. Now, when it comes to moves that you can TM onto Octillery, we have quite a few options here. One, of course, being Waterfall if you want to give him that physical move. Then you can also teach him Surf if you don't like the inaccuracy of Hydro Pump, Flash Cannon for a Steel move, Energy Ball for a really good Grass move, Fire Blast to completely confuse people, Thunder Wave if you want to paralyze people, Psychic, a really strong Psychic move obviously, Sludge Wave, a really strong Poison move, Flamethrower if you don't like the inaccuracy of Fire Blast, Blizzard if you want a stronger move than Ice Beam, or of course just putting that Hyper Beam back on him. There's a lot of different things you can choose and really set him up to kind of support your team. If your team has a weakness, throw it on Octillery. He may not be able to sweep through the enemy, but he can definitely have one of these moves on him, take a hit from an opponent, and then retaliate with a much stronger hit and get you out of a sticky situation. Anyway, that appears to be Octillery and Octillery, but let's take a look at the Remoraid's here. Now obviously you're not going to use them, but I gotta show you guys the shinies, don't I? So we get the nice little pink look for the shiny. And have I showed you the golden Octillery for this one? It's quite magnificent. As for items that you would want on Octillery, obviously since you want to tank a hit, Leftovers or Shell Bell would not be a terrible idea. But generally speaking, Octillery probably doesn't have a lot of time to survive anyway, so your normal sweeping items would be pretty good to have on him. You might even consider putting a choice item on him just because he might not be able to get a second hit in, just because he has some tanky stats. Oh, what is wrong with you? He has some tanky stats, but it's not quite enough to make him a tanky Pokemon. Anyway, that is this episode of How to Pixelmon. If you have enjoyed this episode, definitely let me know and tell me what you think I should do next. I'll see you next time. Have a great day, and goodbye.